Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Computer America Show. We got a great program planned for you.
1 minute until showtime.
Both hours. We're going to have Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, is going to be joining us for both hours here on the show. Should be really interesting. And we're going to be starting in about less than a minute. So sit back, relax, as we bring to you 2 hours of the Computer America Show, starting right here. Oh my goodness. I see you changed your cartoon. You're no longer lifting a car over your head. Now it's a miss.
I've switched to bombs.
30 seconds.
You should have your artist write truth on the side.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Bombs matter.
Okay. Let's make sure. Oh, yeah, Ben, you got your... Ben, you're not on AIM. Could you please get a name?
Yeah. What's that?
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show about computers and technology. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Monday! And welcome into another week of the Computer America Show. Got lots to talk about. We have a terrific guest. Normally he's here with us on Fridays, but you know we said, what the heck? He wanted to know if he could do a Monday with us, and we said, sure, why not? Why not? And so Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, will be here with us for both hours. And anybody who's listened to the show with us and Nathan will know it's kind of wild and wacky and it's fun and certainly a terrific show. And very.
Well, if you say wild and wacky, and I think Pee Wee Herman, and when I think Nathan Evans, I think, you know, pretty insightful and just good conversation all around. I mean, you know, it's you know, not. I don't think wild and wacky applies. I think entertaining and titillating. Yes.
Okay, entertaining and titillating. Okay, anyway, Nathan Evans is here with us for both hours. Just a couple of quick things here, just to pick it up. You know, one of our networks is the IRN Radio Network and the TuneIn Radio Network. Evidently, I've discovered that on Fridays we were only on. They only had the second hour of the show. For some reason, they had a sporting show or what have you. But evidently, that's changed, and now Computer America's heard for both hours on Friday. Yeah, that means now you'll be able to hear us Monday through Friday on the IRN Radio Network and the TuneIn Radio Network. Just FYI, in case you wanted to know. We always please... yeah?
Like,
yeah?
Craig, have you ever seen the movie Hot Fuzz?
Yes, I have. But I don't ask me anything about it because I barely remember.
Well, there's a gentleman in that movie that has a very famous line, and I feel the same way right now. Nobody tells me nothing. And I didn't know we weren't on both hours. I've been telling oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Egg on my face.
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, they on Friday they preempted us for some sort of sporting show, and evidently
was the sporting show the Olympics? Because like I can give them a pass on that.
No, it's been like that for some time, but evidently we're now back on both hours for Friday as well, so you can hear us Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the TuneIn Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network, as in addition to all the other networks that you can hear us on. Again, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Let's see, what else? Of course, hopefully all of you had a wonderful weekend. We did, and just winding up some more interesting guests over the weekend. I don't know, maybe we'll talk about that a little later. We got so much to talk about here. If you have a comment or question, let me mention to you that our phone lines are open. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. However, if you don't want to call and you just want to pose a question or submit a comment, head over to ComputerAmerica.com And on the upper, on any page really, it's the menu bar. It appears on every page. You'll see it says home, then live stream, and if you hover over live stream, go down one, it says submit a question. Just click that. It'll take you to our question submission page. You can type in anything you'd like, hit the submit button, and Ben and I will see what you've typed instantaneously. The other thing that we also invite you to do is watch our show. Computer America is a radio broadcast, but we also now provide live video streaming of our show. It's real simple. Again, head over to computeramerica.com. Any page there on the menu bar, the second item says live stream. Just click that. You'll be instantly teleported to our live video streaming page. You'll join the show already in progress, and you can see myself. You can see Ben, actually. You can see an image of Nathan Evans. And Ben, of course, has the technology to display websites, links, videos, movies, and pages that we'll be talking about. This makes for a more interactive experience here on Computer America. So we invite you to do that. Yes, I know that's the Stranger Things here, but we'll be talking about that a little later up in the program as well. But as you're watching the live video, you can see all the all of Ben's antics that he pulls, that he does, and that we don't necessarily mention on the air.
Nope, no promise on the entertainment value. The video portion, as much as we like doing it, it is strictly something we do in addition. If someone has demonstrations, we like the video portion, things like that. But please feel free to just listen to us, on any of our networks. That's acceptable.
Okay. All right, so anything else before we bring Nathan on to this fun party we call Computer America?
Well, since we like to talk about sometimes when things blow up in the background, I will mention that, of course, before, like about 8 minutes before, we started the show, I fired up our video, software here, and everything was broken. It was like, broken links, broken sources, broken webcam, broken everything. So I just had to put it all back together. Luckily, it's sort of like Legos, where the blocks are made, and the blocks are made to fit together. So I just had to run around really quick and put all the blocks back together. But minor annoyance. I didn't see it coming.
Well, it's a lot of times you can't see it happening, and sometimes it's accidental, and sometimes it's intentional. And one of the stories we're going to be talking about. One of the services we use is Google Hangouts, and evidently, when you go to Google Hangouts, there's a little announcement on the Hangouts page saying, "Hangouts on the air is moving to YouTube Live. Use YouTube Live to schedule events happenings after September the 12th." So there's a little time bomb ticking. So we're going to have to figure out, and we'll talk about that on today's show about what they're doing, because Nathan certainly has some opinions about all of that as well, which you want to hear about. Anyway, anything else? I should just congratulate this past week's winner for the Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse. That went to Jeffrey Morgan in Erie, PA. So we've already contacted him, and that mouse will be on the way to him. Again, you can check out all of our contests, again, at computeramerica.com, which is the internet home of our radio broadcast. Okay, so Popzara. What is that? Well, it's defined as being a bizarre popular culture, spanning the world of arts and entertainment. And throughout Popzara, the website, you'll see views on video gaming, movies, technology, cultural movements, even politics. You can find opinion pieces, debates, reflections, reviews, analysis, news tidbits, and so much more. So back with us today is the managing editor of Popzara, Nathan Evans. Nate, welcome back into Computer America. How have you been?
Hey, Craig. Hey, Ben. This is Monday, so my post-show activities are going to be very different today. I actually still have work to do.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. My whole equilibrium is thrown off.
Yeah, well, but we always offer you the option. I mean, but you said you wanted to do Monday, and so we try to accommodate.
Yeah, I have to go on a national tour with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I couldn't move it. Commitments.
Those guys.
Commitments. Yeah, it's entertaining.
I know, and frustrating, to say the least. But enough about politics. So,
really quick, your social media winner of the week was from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Erie, PA.
If you're out there listening, Mr. Pennsylvanian, I just want to say Mercer is a very fun city. I know it well, so it's very close to. It's close close-ish to Erie.
Never have been to the entire state of Pennsylvania.
Nobody has. That's the problem. It's too big.
No, it's
Too full of Amish.
They have a on track from one coast to the other. I think it's the longest state in the country. I mean, we don't count Alaska, of course. Neither does the post office. But there's this Walmart they have carved into a mountain, and it's fantastic. Like Pennsylvania is a fantastic driving state because it looks so different from coast to coast. Wow, fun state.
Well, there it is. Our little traveling, advisory from Nathan.
Didn't expect that, did you?
No, hey, we never expected. Anything can happen. At any time. It's like the old Musketeers, anything can happen day. I don't know if you remember.
But for Ben, I want to say thank you for referencing Hot Fuzz, and I'll add my own to this. By the power of Grayskull, and can I have some ice cream? Sorry, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorites.
It is. The entire little mini trilogy that I want to say Sean Penn.
Cornetto trilogy, I think.
Yeah, Sean Penn and Nick Frost did. All those movies are great.
If you haven't seen Hot Fuzz, see Hot Fuzz, then see no particular order, but see Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and
At World's End.
Yep. At World's End, fantastic.
I saw At World's End. Yes.
Great movie.
They always start out, what is, it's, this is not, pretty cliche stuff, and then they always take that left turn that, it's very fun, very fun.
I'm a big fan of everybody involved, and if you haven't seen it, Ben, watch the TV show Spaced. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, that's with Nick Frost, right?
It's the whole team. It's the team before they went into movies. The whole people,
right.
Like the writer, director, all the stars, everybody.
Yeah, I got like an episode or two into that, and then I stopped for some reason. But yeah, no, good recommendation.
Very funny stuff. Very funny stuff.
And by the way, I took your recommendation. It was your recommendation, wasn't it? Stranger Things. I finally binged. I started. I didn't get into it, but I stuck through it. The second episode, the third episode, and then I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then when the last episode went by, I said, "That's it. There's no more."
Well, the funny thing is that you get into something like that, and 20, 30 years ago, that would have been something only you saw, and you would tell people about it, and it would become a cultish thing. But today, there's no such thing anymore as cult, because everything becomes popular once it explodes. I believe Stranger Things is one of the most popular things Netflix has ever done, so it doesn't really qualify as cult anymore, but we can still call it a cult if you want to.
Okay. All right,
like the Johnstown.
Well, what it threw me out because it takes place in the 80s, and I thought, was this a TV show that was shot back in the 80s? But no, it wasn't. But
they're just lucky Stephen King didn't sue him. But no, he likes the show too.
Well, it was Winona Ryder. You could see she was older, so I knew that it was.
Still looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, but I could just tell, that it wasn't like from Beetlejuice or something.
Beetlejuice Part 2 is not happening, unfortunately. So we got Stranger. All I know is that I'll just say this: for anybody who hasn't watched Stranger Things, this is the type of show it is. There is a very emotional, heartfelt scene when Winona Ryder emotes with Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Take it out of context, that none of that makes sense, but when you see the show, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, no spoilers then. I won't tell her what it is.
How could that be a spoiler? Like, she emotes with Christmas lights.
Yeah.
No, and
you would never see that coming.
No.
Definitely. Oh, and, if we're going to keep all the off-topic stuff to its own little corner here on the show, I just kind of want to get Nathan's input on Ben-Hur remake, or the Ben-Hur remake.
I try not to think about things like that, Ben. I try not to think about
why are they doing that?
About scaled down, lukewarm, deteriorated, abbreviated remakes of masterpieces that have no clue about what the original was about, or no clue about what the original was for and who it was for. And I got to say this: if you're going to step in the shoes of Charlton Heston, you better have big feet. And the other thing is, what's interesting is that, look, I haven't seen the film, so I'm not going to comment on it. I've read reviews. I don't care about reviews. I don't follow them. But the reviews have been universally positive about one thing, is that they mention that Ben-Hur doesn't understand what an epic is. And I think that speaks well of the original, that from 1959 to today, that Hollywood back in that era had, I think they called them roadside attractions or whatever, where, they had these big, huge spectacles like the Ten Commandments, pretty much anything with Charlton Heston in it, playing a bigger-than-life character. And there was a sense of spectacle and awe and widescreen stupor, and you don't have that today when every movie is a CG blockbuster. And I think it's instructive that we're talking about a low-budget TV show on Netflix with higher excitement than we are a big-budget movie starring, with Morgan Freeman. Which, by the way, I don't know what they did to him. They must have given him the dreadlocks from Battlefield Earth. Like Forrest Whitaker must have had a prop hanging around. They probably met Morgan Freeman and said, "Hey, why don't you wear these?" But he looks terrible. But the movie, I'm not going to comment. It's like Ghostbusters, just let it go, move on with your life, move on to the next thing, and then learn from it. But no, it's ridiculous that they try to remake it like that.
I don't know. I just found it interesting that they tried to remake it. They did almost zero advertising for a movie.
Well, that's not true.
Well,
they did advertising, but they didn't advertise to you because they advertised to the Christians, and that's the thing. They did a huge marketing for Christian viewers, right?
Really?
Like they had posters with Jesus on it saying He is risen, Savior. The markets that, I hate to say it for anybody listening, but the markets that our demographic doesn't usually follow.
That's true.
They wanted some of that, that sweet Passion of the Christ money, because Christian films, faith-based films, have done very, very well in the theater. Very well. They're shockingly, productive. But this is not one of those films. It reminds me kind of what was that? There were two movies. One with Russell Crowe, I think it was called Noah, and there was another one with Christian Bale called Exodus or something.
Yeah.
But although Mel Gibson does have a movie in the theaters, by the way, but if you want to know about that, I'll tell you later. But no, they wanted part of that, but they make these giant, Ten Commandment style epics, but they downplay the Christian elements. So they want the money from the people that want to spend it, but they don't want to respect their source material. I think it's fitting that Hollywood pays more attention to the source material from comic books than they do the Bible.
Yeah.
And so if people want to see a Bible movie, then let them see a Bible movie. I don't care. If it's their money to spend. But fanboys get all their their tights in a twat when Spider-Man doesn't have his web shooters, as opposed to Noah doesn't talk to God. So, well, Ben-Hur, you flopped. We move on. By the way, what's that?
No, okay. I thought you were finished because I want.
Oh no, I was going to point out Mel Gibson has a new movie. He actually has a new movie. Yeah, he fought back. It's called Bloodfather. Haven't seen it, but I know one of the guys are supposed to go see a screening of it today. Actually, it's where he has to protect his daughter from Mexican gangs. It sounds pretty good. I hope it is.
There's another picture that piqued my interest, and it was just from the poster, which I understand had a lot of controversy about it. But it's called Arrival.
Yes.
Not The Arrival, but just which was the earlier version. But this is called Arrival 2016, and it just shows this large ship that's oval, and it's sort of standing on its end, and basically, why are they here? And I understand the poster was controversial because they actually CGI'd parts of a city that really wasn't the city.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
I didn't want to get into fire.
It was silly stuff, But basically, I thought it looked really impressive before I read all this stuff.
I will say this though: the movie looks good.
Yeah.
The movie actually looks really good. I love the cast. Right, it looks great. I want to see it.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner's in it. Amy Adams, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's Lois Lane and Hawkeye. Yeah. So and also featuring the Glips from the Monkees in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
So there's a trailer. I think I just noticed that I haven't watched a trailer, but there is a couple of trailers for it. So
they do look. The movie does look good, but I will point out to you the person who made that poster is either incredibly stupid or they're trolling. Because if you ever talk to anybody from Shanghai, and I do daily, or if you talk to people from Hong Kong, which I do daily, they don't like each other at all. They don't like each other a bit, and that would be like putting the Statue of Liberty in Los Angeles.
Somebody did that.
Yeah, it does.
Somebody CGI'd this. They were making fun of the poster. Somebody took the Statue of Liberty and put it on the LA skyline.
Yeah, it's just. But you understand, China is not Hong Kong. Hong Kong is not China. These two nations, China may own Hong Kong, so to speak, after the handover, but trust me, they are not the same at all. They do not like each other at all. So they were either trolling or really insensitive. But either way, movie still looks good.
Yeah, the poster itself. I mean, I would go see the movie just for that, because of that poster. I mean, it looked really intriguing. But I don't know how good
it doesn't tell you anything, but
it doesn't tell you anything, but it still looks good. And always these first contact movies, I think it's a classification, that's what they call them, basically first contact, are always, because you never know, what you're going to find.
You remember that great Twilight Zone episode, one with Richard Keel, the guy who'd go off to play Jaws? The very famous episode.
Oh, yes, yeah, To Serve Man. That was a classic.
And the whole thing was about linguists and language experts trying to decode the alien language, which is what this movie is about. They're trying to decode the alien language. I don't think the aliens are going to end up eating people, but wouldn't that be cool?
That was it. No spoilers for the Twilight Zone, but the linguists finally got the title of the book. It was To Serve Man, and they went, "Oh, that's it," and they didn't realize, it's a cookbook.
It was a great episode. I miss the old Twilight Zone.
It was
no spoilers. That thing's been out for like 40 years. Why are we not spoiling that?
By the way, Redbud is the
Rosebud.
Yeah, Rosebud is. I can't even say it right now. The little red. What is it? The red wagon.
Yeah, the sleigh. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker is Darth Vader's son. No. Can we say Han died? Are we past that point yet?
Are we? I guess, is that a spoiler for the last one? Han Solo dies?
No, Craig, it's not. Don't worry about it. He's lying. He's lying.
I can't
Luke and Leia weren't his brother and sister?
You don't get to see Luke except at the very end, and he has this.
But it was great. It was great, though.
Yeah.
It was great. I love how they did Luke, and I can't wait because he's going to be the big marquee star in the new movie.
Yeah.
Well, should I say? I'm sorry, not the new movie, the next one after the new movie, because there's another one coming.
Yeah.
Starring Donnie Yen. But anyway, yeah, but yeah, movie posters. I mean, I don't expect them to be geniuses. So, like I said, it was either a genius troll as a sort of a thumbs up, because a lot of people have criticized China's involvement in Hollywood. A lot of people, and because without China, box office can't be big anymore. In a lot of cases. And so maybe it's a big thumb to, trust me, the Hong Kong people do not want China on their butts, and for them to put the Chinese spy on there was very, very aggravating to the Hong Kong's people. So it's...
Okay, well, that's our little movie segment.
And politics.
Well, wait. We could have talked about ones that we're anticipating, like Doctor Strange. I'm looking forward to.
We have time before those even come out.
Okay, all right, we'll get to those later.
I don't even call him Doctor Strange. I just say Marvel movies now because they all sort of blend.
Well, listen, this first story, again, we've been kind of teasing them. This is evidently this first one from Engadget, I think, is a story that you referenced. The PlayStation 4 redesign evidently is popped up in an.
There's been more since I sent you that link. There's a video out now where they demonstrated the PlayStation. They hooked it up. They turned it on. It's evidently pretty real. It's fake also because it's not a leak or anything. The way they do this, and Ben, you know this too, is that they quote unquote, you can't see my fingers, right? But they quote unquote leak stories to get free advertising.
Right.
And Microsoft just recently unveiled and released their Xbox One S.
Yeah.
S. No one's calling it Slim, but I'm going to call it Slim because that's what S means. It's a great console. We reviewed it on the site. It is what it is. Sony's going to release their new console, but they're going to have two. They're going to have this, basically a miniaturized, hopefully cheaper version of the original PlayStation 4, maybe with some improvements, and they're supposed to unveil a new, slightly more powerful 4K capable version that they're codenamed Neo. And these are supposed to be announced on September 7th, I think, or somewhere around then. This is just good publicity. It just keeps them in the news. It doesn't cost anything. So it's kind of like, this is the video game version of a sex tape. It's just free controversy. It is pretty sexy too, though. I like the way that it looks.
I mean, so you think this was an actual leak and not someone who, because before these devices ever hit the market, Sony does have to say, okay, manufacturer in Taiwan, we need 300,000 parts of this, 300 parts. It's not like a reconstruction of like the work order sent out to the manufacturers. It was an actual, someone made this and then put it out.
You've seen them before, the unboxing videos.
Right.
The inanity. I think, by the way, if you love unboxing videos, I mean, you should collect rocks. But people love unboxing videos. I think they're worthless, but people like them. This is basically a quote unquote leaked unboxing video, and it's fun. I think the system looks great. Look, I love the PlayStation 4, but it is the most wretchedly ugly thing I've ever seen. If you have a PlayStation, do you have a PlayStation 4, Ben, or are you a Microsoft kind of guy?
Xbox One.
Okay, Xbox One, which by the way keeps permutating. But no, the PlayStation 4 is very popular, as you know, and but it's not well designed, like physically, aesthetically, it's horribly ugly.
Well, if you scroll down, Ben, you can see a picture of the new one sitting on top of what's the current PlayStation 4. Yeah, there it is right now.
Yeah,
So.
you can't really see it from that picture, but the PlayStation 4 slants in the front, and then it slants in the back. So it takes up obnoxious amounts of space unnecessarily in your entertainment, and there are USB plugs that you simply cannot plug into if you have a weird USB or if you got it on the back. It's not user-friendly. It's horrible. And the design itself has the old design had touch buttons that would overheat. It would eject discs. It would get too hot, run hot. I mean, again, love the PlayStation 4, hate the PlayStation 4 design and the way it was sold. And hopefully this fixes a lot of those problems.
I'm glad that they kept the Oreo cookie aesthetic, though. That's a good move. Good move on them.
I hope it's, and by the way, I hope it's cheaper. Like it needs to come down in price. So, but no, if you're somehow on the boat, this looks like it might be a good deal for the original. I cannot speak to the quote unquote Neo because it hasn't been unveiled yet. But I know 4K compatibility on the Xbox One is a hit and miss. It doesn't have true 4K complete compatibility unless you have the right TV and the right stereo. Like it has HDR compatibility, which for my money is actually better than 4K. If you know anything about TV and displays, HDR is, makes your colors pop if you have the right TV. But if you just want an Xbox One that's slim and I wish it was cheaper. I think it can be with a better controller. The Xbox One S is pretty good. I'm hoping this new PlayStation Slim or whatever they call it is pretty good. I mean, it's about that time, Ben, in these console cycle that they slim down anyway and become cheaper. So here we go. Let's hope it's good and let's hope it's cheaper.
I'm not sure about the cheaper part. Again, I've kind of paid more attention to what is happening over at Facebook. Facebook. Microsoft, Xbox. Wow. No, but Microsoft and the Xbox One S. I mean, I feel like even if it comes out at, let's say, $350 and they've dropped the original Xbox One down to, let's say, $250.
We know it's been out for a month, right?
Oh, wow. No.
Go to Popzara. You should be going to Popzara and reading reviews. No, it came out at the beginning of August 2nd. It's $400. It's $400. It's not cheaper. It's more expensive.
I didn't think so. That these consoles I can only imagine them being as expensive as the original when they first came out. Like I can't imagine them being cheaper than when the first ones came out.
See, in the old days when they made a slimmer console, it would be cheaper because it was cheaper to manufacture, right? But the Xbox One S and supposedly the PlayStation Neo are going to have slight improvements to the technology to allow for 4K processing. And by the way, I want to say this, 4K video processing, not 4K gaming processing. If it was 4K gaming processing, they'd be $1,000 minimum. So these are for running 4K apps and 4K Blu-rays. These are not for 4K gaming. And upscaled 4K gaming is not 4K gaming. Like you could put a VHS tape on an HD screen, it won't make the VHS HD. So, but going back to this though, I believe the Xbox One S will be cheaper, but it'll revert back to having a 500 gig crappy hard drive. So, which you pretty much don't need more than that. You can use an external hard drive. So, but I mean,
it's online anyway. It's all streaming, right? So.
Well, when we tested the Xbox One S, Microsoft promised all these apps, and the only app that plays on Xbox One is Netflix. Like, even their website lists Amazon Prime, but it's still not there yet. So, these companies, they really want to sell you stuff, but they don't quite do the work to make you want to buy it. So, I don't understand. Like, when I was a kid, and it wasn't that long ago, like if a company sold you a crappy product, you wouldn't buy it, and people wouldn't buy it. But now people get sold these iterative consoles and PCs and apps and phones, and they're mostly garbage, and they don't get supported, and yet people keep rebuying them over and over again. They also keep using the same services over and over again, which is a nice segue into something else if you ever want to talk about it. But going back to the consoles, again, it's a nicer looking system. It's smaller looking, and hopefully it doesn't sound like a Harley Davidson, because the old one, my goodness, you play any game with graphics, you can't hear yourself think.
Why?
It's really loud.
The cool one, yeah.
Yeah, the PlayStation 4 is really loud. The Xbox One, to its credit, is a lot quieter. So,
Well,
I have an Xbox One. I don't have a PS4. I have an Xbox One. I never really play it, but it's there.
Now, so again, just to be clear, that this is not the 4K capable Neo system that we're talking about here.
I don't think so. I mean, to be honest, Sony hasn't officially announced this either. But this doesn't look like the 4K one. No, it looks like a just when PlayStation had the original PlayStation 3 10 years ago, it looked like a George Foreman grill. And a couple of years later, they announced the PlayStation 3 Slim, and that became really popular. It was also a lot cheaper. This looks like that version of the Slim.
And does it cook good burgers?
No.
For that price, maybe. But what does it do with the grease? No,
it's slanted. The grease rolls down to the front.
The truth of the matter is, if you play video games, the PlayStation 4 is an outstandingly good machine. And I'm sorry to say this, Ben, it's better than the Xbox One.
Oh no, I'm not arguing that.
It is. It's the problem is it basically comes down to this. Sony sold about 60 million of these things, and Microsoft sold about 20 million Xbox Ones. Microsoft is the one that needs to be having a cheaper console. They're the ones that need to have better bundles. They're the ones that need to be convincing you more.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. I kind of think they don't want to do that. I kind of want to think they want to get out of the business, and they want to switch people over to Windows.
Okay, guys, listen, we got to take a break, and then we'll continue on. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, continues on with us for both hours. We have a brand spanking new News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. It's all coming up. Lots more. Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Sorry, gender-neutral connectors just can't be AC/DC. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor. It looks a little like a smoke alarm, but it really houses a PIR, that's passive infrared motion sensor, that can cover 1,600 square feet, plus an ultrasonic motion sensor that can cover 1,000 square feet, plus an ambient light sensor, and you have ways to adjust the sensitivity of all three. It's made for wiring into AC power and selectively powering a load like a light or a motor when either or both you choose of the motion sensor's triggers and when the ambient light level you set is appropriate. You can also set between 5 seconds and half an hour how long the load remains powered when it triggers. So bottom line, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor can bring automation to any room, battery-free. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. Thank you so much, Marty Winston, for that News Tip Bulletin review. And you'll be hearing that one all week long. And yeah, continuing on, we have Nate Evans, both hours. Yeah, luckily, even though it is a Monday, I don't know. It's if it's throwing him off, it's probably throwing a few of you off. But good to get the blood flowing on a Monday. That's definitely good. So
the blood flowing is that okay?
Yeah, what Nate Evans doesn't raise your ire, have hackles or something. I don't know. No. We have a good time. But no. Over the break, Nate's actually been trying to send me, these pictures, and like I've been trying to find the video that you were talking about, of it powering up and everything like that.
There is
turns
one.
out most of the
the link is broken for the video that he gave.
Right. No, most of the popular ones, the ones from Eurogamer, the one from The Verge, the one from like the big publications, they've all had their videos taken down, or they've taken it down themselves. Obviously, by I'm assuming Sony saying, "Hey, don't leak that." But it's the internet. Once the genie's out of the bottle, it's probably re-uploaded somewhere, and you can get a real video somewhere. But not going to show it on here, obviously, because hey, if they want it shown, then we're not going to show it. But we are going to show pictures because I love pictures. And and again, this is one of the nice things about checking out the video portion, and it shows Nate said unboxing video. Yeah, these are unboxing pictures.
It looks like the evidence from like a drug raid, doesn't it?
Right, little baggies, little twist
like
ties.
evidence baggie 1, El Chapo was found with this.
Right, and it's slimmer. It has pretty nice aesthetics compared to the old one. The old one, you can see it was much bigger, but no, I think it does look pretty dang good.
I think
for
they should
console.
call. I noticed the slant is still there, so
yeah.
But they should
maybe
call
the
it
cameraman
little
was leaning.
PS4.
Maybe the cameraman was leaning to the left.
Ow.
No, it's still ugly. But maybe if it costs less, I can put up with ugly.
Right.
You don't like things that are asymmetrical. I'm getting the feeling here.
I like being able to plug in a USB port. like it was so oblong that it's so hard to you have to reach around the back. So because you put things in an entertainment center, right? And then you got to pull it out to reach in the back. And I'll give Xbox One credit. Xbox One was a little progressive because Xbox One had a HDMI pass-through cable, which is pretty nice. I know they tried to use that for the cable systems and DVR boxes, which, by the way, didn't work. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm open-minded. If it can provide me with the PlayStation 4 experience cheaper and less noisy, then I'll probably pick one up. I've been meaning to anyway.
All right.
By the way, I do have access to a PS4. I mean, on the staff, I do have access. So it's not like I don't play PS4. I'm just saying I don't have one. So.
Yeah, just going off of what you said earlier about PlayStation having the upper hand in the whole console thing. Really, it's about community, and right now PlayStation has such a large community that again, I've had Xbox since the original Xbox. It's that was my first. Well, the N64 was my first console, but after that, then it was the Xbox. I've had it for years and years and years and years. PlayStation is beating it. PlayStation is killing the competition right now. There's no shame in saying it.
Well, my first console was the Sears Atari 2600 with the buttons.
Sears, like the home goods store.
Mm-hmm. That's how things were very different back in the day. I mean, I've had most of them. I used to be a long time ago on a different life. I was a hardcore gamer, and you could find these things relatively cheaply. From Intellivision to ColecoVision to 5200 to 7800 to NES to Sega Master System to CDI to 3DO to Super Nintendo to Genesis to Mega Drive to Master System to Master Gear Converter to Game Gear to Turbo Express, TurboGrafx 16, PCFX. See, I know my stuff, but I'll tell you this. This is the ugliest damn thing I've ever seen. I've seen them all. Even the 3DO was prettier. But and that's true, by the way. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter how it looks. It's matter how it plays. So haven't we learned anything from after-school specials? It doesn't matter how ugly you are. It's how good your personality is. And the PlayStation 4 provides a lot of personality. And by the way, don't think Sony's doing too great either, though. Their sales from PlayStation 4 have dropped considerably because of lack of software. That's why we complain about this a lot on Popzara. But most of the software that's been released the last 3 years has been reboots or just re-releases because it's very difficult for these publishers to make software that looks great on a PlayStation or Xbox when the games don't sell very well. But you know what does sell? Call of Duty. The PlayStation has struggled, by the way. The PlayStation 4 platform has struggled to create unique intellectual properties, like games that weren't available before in series. Has not done very well with that. I think the best-selling game for the system this year has been either Uncharted or another Call of Duty. So, but if you want to play Call of Duty and all the familiar games, PlayStation 4 is your way to go.
Well, Sony is putting more and more eggs in the basket of Destiny and Destiny expansion.
And yet Destiny sells better on Xbox. So that's the thing about it. It's because, like you said, the Xbox platform has a much more robust reputation for first-person shooters, correct? And that carries over into what they call the esport or the competitive market, whereas Sony is more, has a reputation for being more casual. And let's not forget one thing. I'm not trying to be crude or rude to Sony, but Sony has spent the last decade in basically in turmoil. The company has been stripped of almost every product it's ever had. It's given up in markets that it used to dominate. They are no longer the dominant market player in TVs and computers or anything. Like their best-selling product is the PlayStation. That is why Kaz Hirai, the old PlayStation boss, is now in charge of Sony, because they are a PlayStation company. And video games don't make as much money cumulatively as all their other products. So while they're doing good, and I applaud them, it's not quite the same Sony that it used to be. When I was a kid, again, old time, Craig, you remember this. There was a time when Sony was the best electronics company in the world.
Yes, I did. They were the A1 pinnacle.
Yes, for everything they did. I mean, this company had the Walkman, the Trinitron TVs, everything.
Trinitron TV was the standard. It was the reference model. Everything. Yeah. Exactly.
It was amazing, and they had HD in Japan. They had satellites. They had everything. You bought Sony, you had the best. And now Samsung has largely replaced them in the consciousness, which is interesting because Samsung used to be basically a supplier of parts for Sony, but Sony made mistakes, and they made catastrophic mistakes. I'll just say that.
I would have to go on record. I've always said this. I mean, I love the Apple iPhone, but had not the iPhone been out, or the Samsung, especially the newest one that's coming out with Christopher Waltz is actually advertising. They've enlisted him to do the ads for it.
That's funny.
It is, but I mean, that is a beautiful phone, and it has everything that you could possibly want. And in many ways, they're just ahead of the Apple. I mean, they've got
in a lot of ways. And don't forget, Samsung is the one who creates a lot of the innards for the Apple phones.
Water resistance. It's got the wraparound screen. It's got a retinal eye scan now for verification. I mean, it's got the wireless charging, and it's a beautiful phone.
All we got to remember, though, is that regardless of the product you're buying, whether it's Sony, Microsoft, Apple, or whatever, is that everybody wants to be the best by features. Like, I have this feature, I have 4K, so naturally everybody has 4K. I got to have HDR, so everybody has HDR. It's not a matter about having the features; it's a matter about how you use the features.
Yeah.
Like Android phones had NFC for years and years and years before iPhone, like from the very beginning. Except you couldn't use it because nothing used it. Then when iPhone gets it, boom, Walmart's got it. It has to do about market saturation and market penetration. Sorry, I know that's horrible. But so I will give Samsung credit for doing what they do, and I will chastise Apple for not doing enough. And I kind of think that's the way we're in right now, where there's actually, I can't point to you with certainty to any company and say that company is the best in the world anymore, because I don't see innovation from almost anybody. And so, maybe one day a Nintendo will rise back up, or a Sony, or an Apple. But right now, everybody seems to be competing, selling you basically the same product with a different name. So,
but they just, I mean, look at that. What's it? The Samsung was the Galaxy 7 phone. Yeah. I mean, it's got the little pen stylus that comes out, and you can write notes on it without having, and it's always on. I mean, they got a lot of useful features with this.
But they've had those features for 5 years.
I know, but but they're blending it. They're refining it. Okay, so
there's a reason why Apple has a stencil now, because it worked on Samsung. They poo-pooed the stencil for a long time. Yeah. And the Apple fans, we don't need a stencil.
The stylus.
Yeah, stylus. Except Apple calls it a pencil, and but you know what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. Now Apple's on board. It's like you can't. It's amazing. But it's like Windows 10 had an anniversary update, and one of the biggest features was you could use a stylus with Windows 10 better. That's not. You don't brag about that. You don't. It's like we're catching up. We're catching up to what everybody else has. At some point, every phone will have every feature. And because everybody's just playing catch up, they just want features, but nothing uses it. That's what I'm saying. Like 4K, it's like I said, if you really think you're going to sit in front of a 4K TV and the experience is going to blow your mind, you're going to be really disappointed. And so that's why people should have their expectations tempered a little bit. You know, you watch 4K videos and everything. Okay, 4K is great if you have the right TV, if you have HDR, if you have the cable, if you have the sound system, if you have the throughput, if you have the firmware. There's too many ifs. You know, when everybody's just watching everybody's watching Stranger Things. You know why? Because nobody knew about Stranger Things. Nobody was anticipating Stranger Things. Nobody even knew it existed. And so when you get it, ooh, look at that. It's content. It's great. I think that's what we should focus more on is content, but I'm crazy and I'm poor, so you shouldn't listen to me. No, I don't know. I get excited about that too. I think it's great though. I think Samsung is rising from the grave.
Yeah.
My only hesitation is that I look at the compatibility from Galaxy phones, and you know they don't seem to have the shelf life of iOS yet. And until they fix that problem, I still can't be on board. But maybe someday. Maybe someday. By the way, I don't have an iPhone either, people. So don't complain.
Well, they have the well, of course. I'm hoping with the iPhone 7 they'll have wireless charging, a waterproof, water resistance, and Bluetooth for the headset. So.
It won't have a 3.5 millimeter jack.
Yeah, Ben is devastated by that. I know.
Well, you know what? Computers don't have floppies either. That's what I'm saying. It's like everybody gets their panties in a bunch, right? And they say, oh, it doesn't have that feature that I don't use anymore. It's like, Ben, does your computer have a DVD drive?
Yep, and a DVD writer.
Okay, if you built a new computer, would you bother?
You'd
have to think about it, right? You'd have to think about it because would it have a floppy disk?
It's so cheap that I don't see the reason why not.
Because let me ask you a question. When's the last time you bought software on a DVD?
Oh, I've had it sent to me. I've never purchased it willingly on my own.
No, that's what I'm saying. When have you bought software on DVD? When have you?
Oh no, it's all streamed. It's all downloaded and streamed.
You ever watch it? When's the last time you watched a movie on DVD? Like on your computer?
No, never.
That's what I'm saying. It's you have to look at it and say, yeah. Like I actually said the other day, I actually have one DVD player in my entire house, and that is I guess technically the Xbox One, but my old laptop. Like nothing else has a DVD. Everything is. You can get a 32 gig USB stick for like $5, and that's 10 DVDs. And
right.
They store better. They don't get scratched. Like you can back things up. I just bought this. I just bought my podcast producer this morning, a 5 terabit hard drive for $100. 5 terabits for $100. 5 terabits. That's more terabits than he ever needs. But that's better than any DVD. Blu-ray drives, HD Blu-ray drives. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It's sometimes you just gotta let it go.
Hey, there you go. That's what I've been saying.
Well, I mean, if you had saved a little bit more money there, Nathan. I mean, we just talked about. I think it was like an 18 terabyte solid state drive that Samsung's working on. So
okay, but I wouldn't trust. I wouldn't trust an SSD for storage though. I just saying they're not one magnet. They're gone. But I like my storage drives spinny. Like my storage drives, like the hard drive in your Xbox One, Ben, is the worst hard drive you could ever buy. It's a 5200 or whatever RPM not solid state, old spinny hard drive. It's horrendous. Now you could also replace it, but it's not easy. But with PlayStation 4, you can slide the top off and put a nicer hard drive in it, which is what I like about PlayStation. So I would recommend that if you ever have a chance. But no, there's things that we do. My MacBook, I have a MacBook. It uses that new, what is it called, M2 hard drive, which looks like a RAM stick. Can't touch it. I run out of space all the time on it. But it's fast, but there's no memory on it. So, but Apple decides for me, and Apple's the boss. I have to do what Apple says. So, I don't know. It's fun. But like I said, I have no preference on any company. So I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like.
Okay, well, speaking of Apple, since you brought it up.
Yeah, speaking of Apple, did I mention that, actually, let's switch over scenes here. Did I mention that I broke my phone screen?
No.
Yeah, fun fact, right there.
How'd you break it?
Again, you broke it?
Yeah,
in the toilet?
Up here. No, I had it and I dropped it, and that's all it takes.
No.
It's supposed to survive a 4-foot fall, but when it's a 3-foot fall, and it lands on its corner.
No, see, it survives a 30-foot fall, not a 3-foot fall. So they didn't actually lie.
Yeah, right.
Well, speaking of Apple, I remember when Steve Jobs went up there and he said, "Hey, we're not going to be Apple Computer anymore. We're just going to be Apple." Yeah. So now that they're doing, even though he's been dead and how long, they're having this marketing insight. We're not going to call it the Apple Store anymore. We're just going to call it Apple.
It's a frightening thing which is happening with this. Because I remember when they changed from Apple computers to Apple, they changed the company branding, and they actually changed before a bit. Craig, we talked about this, but it was a very slight change. They changed their logo. They changed their name from like iTunes, iThis to Apple, but it wasn't actually a name change. It was a symbol change. They actually went the Prince route. They changed their thing to a symbol.
Well, they were worried about the flack they're going to get from the Beatles, and.
Oh no, actually, believe it or not, that was true at one point. But they actually they poo-pooed that feud a couple years ago, and they actually put the Beatles on iTunes.
Yeah.
What happened was they got tired of the clones. All the if you go to Walmart, you see iHome, iThis, iRobot, all these crappy products that say i. Yeah. So to stop that, they changed it to Apple. Like they just the symbol, which means you can't copy it because you get sued. Mm-hmm. And now they're Apple Store. So now you're not going to the Apple Store. You're just going down to Apple.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where are you going to go, honey? I'm going to Apple. It's a verb and a noun.
Yeah. See, and the reasoning I had behind that, in my head, was much less litigious, I guess. Like the whole reason because Steve Jobs was gone, so they dropped the I, because the I was all about Steve Jobs. Because he was, when he came back from Pixar and he came back to Apple, he was the interim CEO or the I CEO. So during Steve Jobs' reign, everything he made was the I whatever product. So iPod, iPad, iMac, blah blah blah. And then Steve Jobs gone, no longer have an I CEO. So now they're back to Apple, but
no longer have new products either.
Right, but your point makes a lot more sense that it's much easier to hunt down.
It's a branding thing. There's a reason the highest paid person at Apple, the highest paid person is a woman who used to run in the fashion industry. I forget her name. She makes more money than anybody else there. These people, Apple is basically a branding company, and you can't look at an Apple product anymore. I sorry to say, you can't look at an Apple MacBook, you can't look at an Apple phone and say it's bleeding edge anymore at all. Like nothing they have is state of the art, from a technological silicon standpoint. What they do though, it's the refined experience, which admittedly, by the way, is still better than anybody else. There's no argument there, but it doesn't mean they're the best. It just means that they're the most efficient. And so by turning Apple more into a brand that you can sell as a ubiquitous brand, they can reach out more and more. This is why they can take an old phone, Ben, from 4 years ago and resell it as a new iPhone SE, because it's good enough. It's good enough, and it's Apple. And trust me, I deal with people from India and third world China all the time, people that are one generation away from living in mud huts and poverty. And the number one thing on their mind is brand. They don't want, like in America, we're what, our fifth generation of from wealth, so now we're in what's called the Depression era. So if you go to Walmart, people don't want to buy a glass that costs $50. They want to buy a stack of cups for $2. They want bulk. They want stuff that's disposable. And so we don't want the expensive Starbucks coffee. We'll buy the imitation Starbucks. We don't want Honey Nut Cheerios. We want Happy-O's. We're okay with that because we just want the cereal. But in these countries, having Cheerios means you've made it. It's status. And so having an Apple phone is much more prestigious than having even a cheap Android phone, because Apple means more to these people. It does. It means you've made it. And so that's why you can take old technology and resell it, and people in America and Europe don't quite understand how this works. Because again, we're in this socialist decline where it's more about service. Like Craig, you said it, you can do more with an Android phone than you can do with any iPhone. You can do more, but it's not prestigious. You can get a pink Android phone, or you can get a fuchsia iPhone SE Plus, Extra Max, Neo Plus, whatever. And it means more to people. And by the way, go try selling your Galaxy phone versus an iPhone 6s in 2 years and see which one gets you more money. It doesn't matter what's better, it matters what more prestigious it is. There's nothing wrong with that. BMW works the same way. High-end anything. It doesn't mean it's a better car. It just means it has that value associated with it. And so that's something that they have to consider. And so Apple, let's go Apple. Let me do Apple. It's a verb, a noun, it's pronoun, it's everything. It's everything in one. It's just one word. In 10 years they're going to change it to an emoji. A. Let's go A. A plus happy sign water gun. That's what's going to happen to the language anyway. It's just going to go back to hieroglyphics. So Apple.
Well, they kind of already have with just the little Apple logo, like the literal logo.
No, that's it. That's their symbol. If you go to the Apple, sorry, I was going to say if you go to the Apple Store. Hold on, let me get this right. If you go down to Apple, they don't even have a name. They just have the symbol. That's it. They are a cult in some respects. But
So it doesn't even spell out the word Apple. It's just
no symbol. It's like McDonald's. It's just the golden arch.
Well,
you ever see Coming to America?
Yes, of course. It was.
Remember that?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Great movie. Remember that famous scene with what's his name, John Stamos, when he says, "They're McDonald's, we're McDowells." Like they have the golden arch, we have the golden arc. And he makes this distinction. And it's just that's what it is, though. That's the distinction. It's minute, But he did it. He has McDowell's so he can trick people into thinking it's McDonald's. And that's what's happening. You've been to Disney World. They have imitation Mickey Mouse everywhere.
Yeah, well, of course, they maintain the Apple and then the location. So it's Apple World Trade Center, for example. Okay.
Yes.
So they have the name of the store and then they have the location. So and evidently that's how.
Nobody's going to call this Apple. They're going to call it the Apple Store. And they're still going to call it that way. But subconsciously, they become more ubiquitous because they become, like I said, a replacement verb.
Well, remember, Apple used to have a rainbow in the Apple. It was a rainbow.
Oh yeah, lots of things.
And then they took out the rainbow and just made it white.
Coca-Cola sells the best-selling bottled water. They sell a brand called Dasani. And if you watch the commercials, it's always a woman drinking on a beach, and she always like, "I'll have another Dasani," like she's ordering champagne. It's water. It's tap water from New Jersey. But you call it Dasani.
Tell me it's better than that. It can't be water from...
That's it. It came out. It's tap water. It's tap water from like some New York or New Jersey municipal water supply. It's just tap water that's been cooled over. It's not from some spring in the Himalayas. It's tap water. It's tap water. You're paying for cold tap water. That's what. But again, it's branding. It's branding, and that's what it is, and that's the beauty of this thing because nobody cares. And by the way, come October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, not to get off on a rant, you'll notice Susan B. Komen for the Cure and all these breast cancer charities. We talked about this, Ben. They put everything. They have the official thing, and it's pink. And what do you see in the store? Everything becomes pink. And you think to yourself, wow, all this goes to charity. No, they just color their stuff pink for a month because they trick you into thinking if you buy pink, you're donating to breast cancer. But chances are nothing you buy is going to go to breast cancer. Probably not even a penny. But you think it is, so you feel good. You say, look what I've done. I've done good things. I'm helping breast cancer. No, you're not. You're actually making it worse. So buy stuff that's green, not pink. But that's how it is. You can't fight against the tide. This is how it's going.
Wow. All right. Well, anyway, it's official. So now all the Apple stores are just now Apple with a little S.
I don't think anyone's going to walk by a giant building with an Apple logo on it and say, "Wonder what that is." Like, I think they already have the presence of mind in.
You have Galaxy phones
culture, right?
But it's just. I'll just say this: Apple, Tim Cook, if you're listening, I know you're making a lot of money, but all the signs are there. Your company is deteriorating. You have to start innovating. You have to do something instead of just making the phone bigger and smaller. You have to do something different, and changing your name is not innovation. By the way, that's the single biggest thing Yahoo's CEO, Marissa Myers, did. The first thing that lady ever did at Yahoo was change the logo. You know what her job was at Google? That's right. She changed the logo. Yeah. So you get what you pay for. And after this show, I'm going to go down to Apple. So... No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to Apple. but it is interesting though. It's very Orwellian, that you can change the definition and change the thought process.
Well, he can't have deaf ears. I'm sure Tim Cook must be hearing this over and over again. You think that he would, do something?
I think Tim Cook is a horrendous CEO. I think he's good on supply, but he's not the leader that Steve Jobs was. I mean, who is, right? Let's be honest, who is? But he seems. Complacency seems to be the name of the game at Apple. It's like Samsung has a big phone, so Apple's going to have it. Apple's got to have everything that everybody else has. I wouldn't be surprised if they start producing imitation Macs again, like they did back in the 90s. Remember those? eMacs?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, after a while, you can't keep selling inferior products. I mean, iPhones are great, but the last time they changed the MacBooks was 2 years ago? I mean, they really changed them? I mean, what's innovation at Apple now? Let's take away your ports. Hey, iPhone 7, now with less ports. How is that better? How is that better for anybody? Like all those headphones you bought, all those $300 Beats headphones, guess what? You can't use them. Now you got to buy them again. But guess what? Who owns Beats? Oh, that's right, Apple. So yeah, if you buy a $400 pair of headphones and it doesn't work with your phone, maybe you need a new phone. When your phone's cheaper than your headset, you probably need a new phone. But Apple did this same BS with the MacBook. You remember that? When they brought out the MacBook and they took out all the ports, they just had one port, a USB Type-C, and that was for power too. So guess what? If you wanted to use your USB drive, you needed to get a dongle. You want to use the headset, you need to get a dongle. And suddenly that nice little laptop has this giant octopus sticking out of it because Apple thinks that's easier for you. No, that's not easier, Apple. That's stupid and selfish. And that's why people don't buy your stuff anymore, because you're forcing them to do things that they're not ready for, and there's no benefit to them. So take away the USB, take away the 3.5 port. Go ahead. Make it harder for people to use the stuff that you sold them for the last 10 years. Your earbuds, can't use them. Got one port. So there you go, Apple. You know what you're doing, Tim Cook. You're so rich, and iPhone sales are better than. Oh wait, they're not. They're going down. So yeah.
All right.
That's where it is.
At least the iMac has thinner edges.
Woo! You can use it to cut. You can use it to cut onions.
I've seen that video.
That's true.
Hey, we did. Yeah, I saw that too. We're gonna take a little short break, and then we're gonna continue on. We got another hour of the Computer America show. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, continues on with us. It's just a momentary break as we introduce the second hour of the Computer America show. We will be right back in a fraction of a second. Be right back.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show about computers and technology. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with managing editor of Popzara, Nathan Evans. Again, if you have a comment or question, 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. Again, we have an interesting lineup this week. Head over to ComputerAmerica.com and you can see all the different things that we're having. Thursday, we're going to have our Tech 50 Plus. Gary Kay is going to be joining us again. On Wednesday, we're going to have TM Soft talking about white noise, which is kind of cool. And then also tomorrow, LC Technologies is going to be here with us. We're going to be talking to the CEO, David Zimmerman, about things that can go wrong with your computer that you may not have considered before. It's actually going to be quite interesting, and he will be joining us in the first hour again. Again, just as I said, just head over to ComputerAmerica.com and you can see all of the shows, the lineup for the week ahead and the week after, and it's all there at ComputerAmerica.com. Everything we do at the show, you can find at ComputerAmerica.com. It truly is the internet home of a radio broadcast. So we continue on with the stories that Nathan has thought would be of interest. And this next one is actually from a story from Ars Technica, website that we also quote from quite a bit. And we actually talked a little bit about this coming up. And that's the story that Google is on a killing spree. I mean, they're bringing out the hacking. I mean, they are really
not to be hyperbolic or anything like that, but yes, Google is just murdering its own apps.
It's killing Chrome apps. It's killing them on the Windows system.
It's children, man. It's children.
It's killing them on Linux. I mean, it's just.
They're the first suicidal corporation. This is why we can't have nice things, says Google, because we can't have nice things.
You say that, but it's like, wow, look at Google chop off its arms, and I'm just sitting here picturing Google, a giant amorphic blob with 18 million arms, and it's like, I have
never seen a company in my life kill off so many of its own products and yet still get taken seriously as they literally have no business plan for selling products anymore or services. I can't imagine what it is. It's
their business plan is own all of the ads on the internet and then do whatever else we want.
It's funny though. I chastise Apple for being lack of innovation, their lack of innovation, but I want to do the same for Google because Google is a very good search engine company. When they're not censoring search results, which they've been doing more and more lately, and I don't like that or appreciate it. But you could always use Bing or DuckDuckGo or Yahoo. I'm sorry, you don't want to use Yahoo, but no, it's guys, we talked about this. We talked about this before the show too. I like Google. I use them. I use them a lot. And it looks like in about a year I'm going to be using them a lot less because they're killing off half the stuff that I love. Your program is broadcast on a Google product that's being killed.
Mm-hmm. Google Hangouts. So why are they killing? Why are they killing it?
Well, the default excuse that they always use is, well, nobody really used this product anyway. Okay, Google. First of all, stop that. In order to be you want to be Microsoft? Here's the thing. Not everybody who uses Microsoft uses the RAID service. Not everybody who uses Windows uses, the VPN service. But you know what? Microsoft doesn't kill them off because grandma doesn't use them, because Windows is for everybody. It does everything. It may not do anything really, really well, but it does enough so everybody can use it. And that's why Google has this weird 10% rule. And by the way, corporations do this too, by the way. I forget what it's called, but Ben, I know you've heard of this, where corporations will determine pay and employment based on a scale. Like they'll fire the lesser 10% of their company and then replace it and then keep doing this to weed out what they call the bad people. That's not a good way to nurture talent. It's a horrible way. It makes everybody unhappy. But what Google is doing is Google introduces products, and frankly, I cannot name you all the products that they've killed over the last 10 years, but from Google Wave to Google Plus to to Google this to Google that, and they keep releasing product with no wherewithal whatsoever. They just released 2 new chatting and voice apps. They released Allo and Duo. They already have Google Hangouts to do those things. Now they need more apps to do those things, and now they want more apps to do those things. So they're going to kill off all the old services you use. Remember Google Talk? Probably. It became Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts used to be an app. Now it's a web app. Oh wait, they're killing the web apps. So now you're going to have to use it on the browser. What's that?
Yeah, no,
SOS?
SOS. I just looked up all of Google's discontinued services, and everything from Aardvark to Google Answers to Google Base, Buzz, Gossip, Google Reader, Apache Wave, Google Video Marketplace, Urchin. I mean,
don't forget the products. The Google Nexuses, Google this, Google that. They just killed the Nexus player as well.
Yeah, these are just the services, not even the products that they discontinued. I mean, they have discontinued more products and services than most companies ever come out with over their entire lifespan, and then they're still kicking.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, to answer Craig's question, again, conspiracy here. Let me put on my tinfoil hat. But Google is trying to monetize YouTube in a way that will compete with like Apple Music and Pandora and Spotify by charging for a service called YouTube Red. It turns out they're also trying to compete with Netflix. They're also trying to compete with Amazon. And the last time they tried this nonsense, it was a huge failure, and that was Google Plus, where they not only made a clone of Facebook, they made a clone of a clone. They also tried to copy their own failed Google, what was it called? Not Wave. Buzz, I forget what it's called. When they tried to integrate this stuff, it didn't work.
Google Buzz.
All it did was mess people up and made them angry. And then they forced everyone to use Google Plus, a service that was wretched and horrendous from the start. Then they broke compatibility with that. They made businesses sign up for Google Plus. If you wanted to be on Google Plus, I've worked with restaurants, right? I work with restaurants. And to get on Google, you had to sign up for Google Plus. You had to do all this verification stuff with Google Plus. And then they go ahead and they dropped it. And then to maintain Google Plus, you had to do all these standards. There was no standard. It never worked right. So they said, screw it. We're going to get rid of that. Then you had to have Google Plus to use YouTube. They said, screw it. We don't need to do that. Screwed everybody up. Deleted all the comments. And now they're forcing people to use Google Hangouts, who use Google Hangouts like you guys, to use YouTube. The problem is that it looks like the next logical step is to start charging people for YouTube as opposed to just YouTube Red. So if I'm a business owner and I have to, build a platform, I'm not going to build a platform with Google at this point because it's like dealing with someone with schizophrenia.
Sure.
And I want to and I'm not making fun of that. I want to give you an example. Do either of you guys watch the show Veep on HBO?
No. But
Very
I have
funny
heard
show.
of it. Yeah.
Very funny show. And I forget the actor's name. Martin Mull. You know Martin Mull, Craig?
Oh, of course, yes.
I cannot imagine you know who Martin Mull is, Ben. No offense. He's really old.
Yeah, but
Craig knows the old people.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, but Martin Mull's on it, and it's a really funny show. And he's on the last season. And Serena, what's her face's character? I forget this sign. What's her name? She's the star of Veep. I forget the
Oh,
name.
yeah, the blonde chick that was in or no, I don't know.
Blonde. I can't believe I know Martin Mull's name and I don't know
No,
her.
no, 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 no. You're talking about
Elaine. I'll just say her. I'll call her Elaine. Elaine. She plays the president. Anyway, she has this failing campaign, so they call out this strategist, right, who's supposed to be the best of the best, and he's famous for his crazy strategies. And they call him out, and he comes in and he tells them all these crazy things. Wow, he's such a genius. He's such a genius. Listen to everything this guy's saying. Then you find spoilers. You find out halfway through that he's got like dementia, and he's just rambling and he's just making things up.
Are you talking about Julie Louis-Dreyfus?
Yeah, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I'm sorry. Thank you, Elaine. Yeah, so they listen to Martin Mull because they think he's a genius, but he's really got dementia. And that's kind of what Google is. Google, they're a brilliant company, but they don't seem to have any coherent strategy at all for anything. Like Google, I just talked about this with my tech editor yesterday. Like, Apple has Apple TV, Roku has Roku and whatever. So Google has Google TV, huge failure. Companies invested, huge failure. Then they have Android TV. They want companies to invest. They're a little gun shy this time. Huge failure. To the point where they even discontinued their last box called the Nexus box. Remember the Nexus Q, Ben? $300 sound system? Did you buy one?
No.
I hope not, because it was obsolete in 30 days. You buy Google Glass? That really took off, didn't it? Like, nothing takes off. Nothing.
It reminds me of that movie, I don't know if it was with Peter Sellers, called Being There.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He was a gardener, and the Chauncey Gardner, and he became this like great political thing. And the guy was not there. I mean, he had no mind. He just knew gardening. And
was that his last movie? I think
it was 1979. I think it was. Yeah. And and he was just the gardener, and his boss who took care of him and died, and he was left there, and people find him, and they look at him as this great deep thinker. And he's not, he's just basically there's nothing to him. But the whole movie, and it's just amazing how
it just reminds me with Google is that they have so many good ideas, but they're so bifurcated. They have so many different sections. Nobody's talking. Like do they really need 7 apps? Do they really need 7 apps to chat? Like Snapchat did it with 1. Facebook did it with 1. Facebook, admittedly, they have Messenger, but at least they did it. There's Skype did it. Apple did it. And Google, they just don't seem to do it. They don't seem to understand.
I mean, for example, we were talking a little bit about this before the show. So my understanding of the Google Hangouts, there are other ones that are out there. Facebook has something that's similar to Hangouts.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, Ben. You were saying it before the show. You guys might want to look into switching over to Facebook. That seems to be catching on, and Facebook's not going to kill it off in a minute.
Right.
I mean, seriously. I mean, if they give you the tools and everything, I mean, it's something to look into. It's nothing against Google per se, but I wouldn't invest right now in them as a company. It's like what happens when they decide that 1% of the people don't want to use your product. Well, what if you're the 1%? 1% of a billion people is a lot of people. That's still a lot of people. That's more
like
people in Norway. Math is good. No. I don't do no fractions. No, but the thing is that I use Google, like Google Apps, for example. I have Chrome, right? When I use my Mac, I get apps like Twitter because, Apple has a pretty good store for Mac. You know this. You're an Apple fan,
sure.
Craig.
Mm-hmm.
But I use TweetDeck on my Mac. TweetDeck is not available on the Windows machine. It's not in the store because the Windows Store sucks. So in order to use TweetDeck, I have to go on the Internet. I use Chrome browser because Chrome has apps built into it, what we're talking about. So I use TweetDeck, I use Google Hangouts, I use Google Keep. I use these things because they're really cool. Google decides we're going to kill them. But not just kill them, though. Kill them nice and slow. They used to have a really cool thing called the Chrome App Launcher, which is what their version of the Start button. They use it on Chrome OS, on Windows, on Mac. They killed that because they said nobody uses it. Well, it's already there. Just keep it. You don't need to just keep it. It doesn't hurting anybody. But now they kill that, then they kill the apps because only 1% uses it. Well, that's no good. Maybe instead of killing something that only 1% use, maybe get people to use the app more. These are great ideas. These are great things that you do, and they kill them because grandma doesn't use them. I don't want my computer system to be democratic because no offense to people, most people usually make dumb decisions. I want people who make the smart decisions. Most people eat McDonald's. It's bad for you. Doesn't mean you get rid of the good foods. It means you convince more people to eat good foods. A lot of people smoke. Doesn't mean you force people to smoke. You stop people from smoking. But I don't care. I like my computers and everything, but now I hear they might be actually making a new operating system to replace Android.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You know, and
Fuchsia.
it's just like, come on,
Fuchsia.
just no. I just figure your crap out, Google, then come back to me with a coherent strategy. You know, it's just this is why if I were Microsoft, I'd sit back. If I were what's the CEO's name? I forget his name, Patel or whatever.
Yeah.
I would sit back on my desk, smoke a cigar, and not worry about a damn thing because Google is not a threat. They're just not a threat to you. And
well, yeah, and you know, we actually use quite a few apps here on the show. You know, behind the scenes, we use like Google Calendar and things like that. I guess those are going by the wayside too, if I'm reading this right.
Don't tell me Google.
Well, I don't think they're actually those are considered apps. I think like I discovered something pretty cool on Windows, by the way, that Microsoft hides one of their best Windows apps called People. And People has Calendar built into it. I actually found that I could link my iTunes account, or sorry, my iCloud account to Windows. So now I can make changes between Windows and Mac, which is really cool. Why they don't brag about it, I don't understand. Like, it's a really cool feature that's very useful. But I can also link my Google stuff. So my Google Calendar is now hooked up to my Mac calendar. It's also hooked up to my Windows calendar. It all kind of works kind of cool. Gmail actually works.
But Google Calendar isn't going away.
No. The basic stuff isn't going away because they actually do good with that.
Gmail isn't going away, right?
No, Gmail is not going away. Although they've tried to. They tried to kill Gmail. They tried. They tried to kill it with Inbox, and Inbox was a disaster, and so it didn't work. So yeah, if you ever use Inbox, I'm so sorry. But no, I mean they keep trying to do this stuff, right? And they're doing it in real time, and the only effect it's having, it's making people trust them less. That's why Samsung wanted out. Samsung tried to do their own thing, Tizen. That's why LG bought an ancient operating system called WebOS that HP abandoned because they didn't want Google on their TVs. They don't trust Google. And you know what's funny? I have a new TV. I think you bought a 4K TV, didn't you? A Vizio?
Yeah, we bought a Vizio. Really big.
It has Roku built into it, right?
It has Netflix built into it. It has a number of apps built into it. Yes.
Oh, but does it have the Roku operating system?
No, it does not have. No. I don't think so. No.
Roku is now becoming the de facto operating system. Like Google wanted that. Google wanted a piece of that Roku pie, and you think to yourself, well, Google's much bigger than Roku. They could do anything. They can't do anything. They've tried it like 3 times, and they've been terrible at it. But a little company like Roku that just does one thing, they do it so well that they now dominate like the smart TV market. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's Google's fault. They should do better than this. But I don't understand it. I don't understand. If I was in charge of a $1 trillion company like Google, I would look at some of these products and say, no, that's not going to work. Like, who on earth is going to use Google Plus? Did they even test that thing out before it came out? It was terrible. But instead of fixing it, they kill it. So you can't win.
Well, Google Plus is. I mean, look. I mean, they still have. I mean, there's Google Drive, Translate. They have a whole bunch of apps that aren't the photos. I know they had Picasso.
But I think those are Google apps and not Chrome apps.
But those aren't apps. Those are services.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like if you have a Windows machine, do you have Chrome on your machine?
Yes, I do.
You can actually install apps to your Windows machine via Chrome. You can install things that you could put on your taskbar. They'll show up in your programs, but they require Google Chrome to run. You know, you could do that with certain things, and they're getting rid of that because they say only 1% of people use it. So, I don't understand. I've never seen a company be so irreverent when it comes to their own legacy, I guess. You know, so that's just me. I'll just have to find something else.
Well, we're gonna have to find something else with Hangouts too, because obviously we do use it quite a bit here on the show, and a lot of our listeners watch.
I've heard good things about Facebook Live. I mean, I don't want to say good things about Facebook, but I've heard good things about Facebook Live.
And Facebook Live is not going anywhere. They're not gonna.
Well, I don't want to say that for certain, but I doubt that Facebook has proven a lot more resilient than Google about these things, and they are competitors.
Well,
right. And Facebook unfortunately won't work for what we do here at Computer America, but we're gonna look around. Maybe even make the dreaded jump to YouTube. I mean, all of our videos are already hosted on YouTube. Yeah. If we can record things natively there, I mean, as long as there's no paywall, because nothing at Computer America is behind a paywall. As long as there's no paywall involved, I would probably be more inclined to go to YouTube because
I would research it heavily,
Yeah.
before, because I know YouTube has major issues when it comes to licensing.
right.
And like, for example, I've noticed that I can't, like, YouTube apps, like the YouTube app I have on my TV and YouTube app I had on my phone no longer allows me to listen if I go away. They've removed it. In order to listen, I now need to pay for YouTube Red. I did not need to do that. And by the way, an instructive example would be Hulu. Hulu used to offer all these free services on the internet. Remember that? Used to offer free shows. You could watch everything on the computer and everything. And then they slowly started going behind a paywall, and last week they announced they're removing the free service. So Hulu will be completely paid now. So again, before anybody considers going to a Google product at this point thinking it's free, it may only be free now, and after a while, like cloud storage services work like this. Oh, join today, we'll give you a terabit of free data for a year, and then you get all your stuff on the terabit, and you don't want to pay $100 a month anymore. Your stuff becomes hostage. And so I would do my research heavily, Ben. I don't have any opinion aside from that, because you don't want to suddenly, obligate yourself to a huge long-term payment plan
Right.
that, you can't afford. I mean, again, this is Google we're talking about. This is not a company that has demonstrated an ability to be consistent with anything.
Well,
so that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue right now is that Facebook, I was considering them, but just look them up. They limit you to 90-minute sessions. And, unless we chopped up the show into two-hour segments, which supposedly we could probably do.
Yeah, that's
but
not going to help. Yeah.
Not be what we
Well,
need.
I'm looking again with YouTube. I mean, when you go to YouTube Live, you can just when you go to this Google Hangouts, there's a link there, and it's called YouTube Help, and Hangouts on Air, moving from Google Plus to YouTube Live. There's a whole thing there, and then you can actually go to YouTube Live and check it out. And it seems like everything is in place. That they're not limiting it. I don't see anything here. But
for me, I'm concerned that, like, whenever they consolidate, it usually means that to the detriment of one product, and I mean, it can create mass confusion. I don't know. I mean, for you guys, it might be fine. I mean, I don't use Google Hangouts like that.
Mm-hmm.
I use Google Hangouts quite a bit with my day-to-day dealings. I have it as a docked app on my taskbar,
mm-hmm.
but it's becoming restrictive and glitchy. So I've actually moved a lot over to Skype, which is interesting. But
Right.
But no, it's fun. Oh, by the way, before I forget, speaking of things, I've been a Linux poo-pooer on this program, and I made fun of Linux, but I want to wish Linux a happy birthday. Linux turns 25 in a couple days. August
No.
25th.
Was it August 25th?
August 25th, they turn 25.
You're right.
Yeah.
Craig,
happy
you don't need to
birthday.
use that anymore, right?
So
The
Linux
licensing
can now
fell
rent a
off.
car.
Yeah.
Linux can now rent a car. So there you go.
Absolutely. No. We had Marcel Gagnier on, and he mentioned last week that, and for some reason I thought it was last week, but you're right, it is 25th, because he's like, yeah, that's also my 25th anniversary. So I'm like, oh, good. You're keeping all your important dates together. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, the guy who deals with Linux, who remembers anniversaries, got the date wrong. So yeah, make sure you send him 2 invites next time.
No, I'm sure he meant the 25th, and I heard it.
No,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
He needs to update to Nutella or whatever. Nutella. That's a
Yeah,
spread.
it's a candy.
Yeah, it's a spread actually.
I'm actually it turns out I'm highly allergic to Nutella. I had to go to the hospital a couple
You're
months ago
kidding.
because
No.
yeah, I was like, yeah, now I know. So hazelnut.
No.
So hazelnut allergy.
I love hazelnuts.
But anyway, that's how I feel about that. I'm just gonna have to move everything over too. So thank you, Google, for making life more confusing than it needs to be.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have so many stories to talk about here. But what's this about? With the Uber and Lyft.
This one ticked me off the most.
Yeah, this is pretty skeezy of them.
They're going to tax ride-sharing service to compensate taxis.
When a company becomes when a system becomes so entrenched, it usually unionizes. And I'm not trying to be a trade buster here or anything, but unions are in the business of staying in power. And the whole concept behind ride sharing is that it's decentralized, that anybody can do it. You don't have to sign up. In fact, it's controversial in some places because you don't have to have like background checks in some places. By the way, which is total bupkis. because Uber requires really stringent background searches, by the way. So anybody who thinks they don't is lying. But what happens is you notice in cities like San Francisco and New York and San Antonio, Austin, I hate to say it, very progressive areas, there's a big entrenchment of unions. And taxi unions don't like Uber, and they shouldn't. They're competition. But have you ever been in a taxi lately? It's not a joyful ride. And you don't know when they're coming. They're always late. They charge you too much. You could go to a wrong area, all kinds of things. So there's a need, and Uber, Lyft, and crowd sharing comes out. And they do really spectacularly well. And so naturally they need to be destroyed. And what's happening in Massachusetts, they actually passed a law. And so now Uber and Lyft and all the other by the way, this is going to murder the small companies. It's not just Uber and Lyft people. There's also lots of other startups. Is that they're going to have to give 20 cents a ride to their competitors, to taxis. Now, taxis have been around how long? Forever? Since horse and carriages? So they're not new. Taxis failed. They failed. They failed to innovate. They didn't see the need for crowdsourcing, because when you become a monopoly, you stop innovating. That's one of the bad things about entrenched monopolies. And you see this a lot, where the companies don't want to innovate. And the last time we saw this in our recent time was with Tesla Motors. When Tesla was coming out, Tesla wanted to sell their cars, online and everything. But naturally, the dealership people said that that's not fair. They should have to have a dealership too. Of course, they lobbied congressmen who just happened to be auto dealers. And they passed laws saying that in order to sell Teslas, you need to have a dealership and all this, because they want the companies to be restricted. Airbnb goes through this all the time. Airbnb gets sued off the tail because the hotels and the concierge services, they don't want Airbnb to compete with them. So instead of fixing their failed business model, they try to restrict innovation. And in the case of Uber in Massachusetts and Lyft and all this, this is stridently illegal. I can't imagine this law won't be challenged, because now they're being forced to give up their revenue for a failed business model. Oh. And this is bogus.
Lawyers are going to have a field day with this.
What's that?
The lawyers are going to have a field day with this.
Oh, it's horrific. It's total corruption, absolute corruption, But there are precedents for this, though. Every time you buy a cell phone or pay your cell phone bill, there's a little surcharge on it called UPS. Universal Service Charge, USC. It's like $2, and that money supposedly goes into a pot to help disenfranchise poor people. Of course, it's been completely exploited, and people now get free phones and free internet from it, and because they think it's in the greater good. So taxis, instead of innovating, instead of getting their own, it would have been a no-brainer, right? Like, Domino's Pizza has a tracker where if you order Domino's, you can actually watch it in real time being delivered.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, they weren't the first one to have that, but instead of complaining that all these new pizza places had it, they just did it, and they make more money because it's what people want, Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like Western Union. Western Union. What is it good? Ben, what do you use Western Union for?
You use them for money transfers.
Now. 60 years ago, you sent telegrams, right? Yeah. But so when the phone came out, did Western Union sue the phone company and say you shouldn't do that? No, they changed. They changed their business model, and they thrive, and they do better now.
You can't send a telegram anymore with Western Union. You call them up and say, I'd like to send a telegram. They're going to say no.
Wait a minute. Stop. Hey, this is Craig. Stop. I'll be there. Stop. Why don't you just do smoke signals? In New York, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. You might want to type this in serendipitously while I'm talking. But I believe Mayor de Blasio in New York tried to ban horse and carriages. And it's just, you want to, you want to ban things that work. You want to ban things that don't. You want to forbid innovation from coming. But the reason we don't use horse and buggies so much anymore is because we use taxis. And the reason we don't use taxis anymore is because we use Uber, because the service is better. And for you to fight against the tide of history and retain the old crappy system, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You deserve to go out of business. If you don't change and you don't give the people what they want, the people won't give you what you want, which is money and business. So I think it's criminal. I think they should be ashamed of themselves. I'm sorry. Uber is a smarter business model. It's a better business model. It works better than taxis work. And if they don't want to compete with it, then they shouldn't be forced to just sit back and steal money. It's like legalized mob extortion. But whatever.
Well, are they going to get away? They're not going to get away with this, are they?
It's a law. It's passed. Yeah, it's going into effect.
Yeah, but it's going to.
Well, it's kind of like what happened in Austin. You remember when Uber and Lyft pulled out of Austin because they didn't want to comply with these new background searches? What a total bogus story that was.
Yeah, that wasn't true.
because because Uber and Lyft pulled out, not because they weren't forced to do background searches, is because they had to pay a surcharge tax. And there are like a dozen ride-sharing services still in Austin that are not affected by that. So they target Uber and Lyft for what I believe are political reasons. And another thing you have to remember, guys, not to get off my soapbox rant, but Uber and Lyft are competitors. And the parent companies of Uber and Lyft are tech companies. So depending on which tech site you read, Engadget or the Condé Nast or the Voxes, their parent venture capitalist company may have a stake in Uber or Lyft. So you may go to Vox, you may go to The Verge, and you'll see lots of stories against Uber. Uber driver gets raped. Uber driver steals money because their parent company owns Lyft. So they're going to push anti-Uber stories because journalism is a dead thing to these idiots, and they don't understand the terror they're using. And you remember what happened in all the protests in France, right? When the French taxi drivers protested the advent of Uber, you know what you didn't see in those protests? You didn't see the thousands of people that were waiting for Uber rides. Yeah. The French people want Uber. They love it. They love it. No offense, taxi drivers in France are not known for their cheerful dispositions. So, yeah, you have to get the real story about this thing. Right. Uber and Lyft are popular. Yeah. This tax sucks.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and then we'll continue on. Again, Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, joins us for the remainder of the hour. We've got some more interesting stories. Gawker is in the news. Also, we're going to talk about Stranger Things as well. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We got another brand spanking new News Tips Bulletin Review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up. Stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Oh, my. He thinks he's superior to those other narcissists. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Carrier Control NG100 Firewall. We love hardware firewalls for their full-time protection. And the new Carrier Control, K-E-R-I-O, the Carrier Control NG100 Desktop Firewall is a surprising amount of power, like with an Intel dual-core CPU, plus versatility, all in a package as small as a stack of 3 CD cases. It can split an incoming WAN connection into 2 separate networks at LAN 1 and LAN 2, and a USB port lets you store and recover your configurations. So bottom line, when you need hardware-level protection plus versatility, a Carrier Control NG100 Desktop Firewall is an inspired choice. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
33 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara, continues on with us. But before we get back to the show, I just want to take a brief moment to thank all of you for the incredible response that we got since we welcomed Blue Apron as a new advertiser to the Computer America Show. What was it, about 2 weeks ago, Ben? Yeah.
No, we've only done one read, so
yeah, but it was about. We did it about a week ago. Okay, and it was. I think it was, yeah, we can have. Anyway, since then, many of you have discovered how great it is cooking healthy meals together. Because let's face it, eating healthy meals has got to be a concern for all of us because with our busy schedule, shopping for food, especially the proper foods, can really be quite a challenge. But what if you could have someone else not only do all the shopping for you, but plan your meals and even deliver the food to cook right to your front door? And that's exactly what Blue Apron will do for you. For less than $10 a meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. People agree that cooking together builds strong family bonds, and Blue Apron knows that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals. It's just that simple. So whether it's wild-caught Alaskan salmon or heirloom tomatoes, Blue Apron is bringing you the very best. And here's what we want you to do. Check it out for free. All right, in other words, you get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping just by going to blueapron.com/computer. That's right, blueapron.com/computer, and see for yourself. Blue Apron, it truly is a better way to cook.
All right, and yeah, no, we here on Computer America, we take on sponsors to help support the show. It's what we do, and the sponsors include things like Intel. We have been using Intel processors for the longest time.
Yep.
I highly recommend them. Things like Logitech. We use Logitech equipment all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Wolf. That's where we get the finest selection of animals that we could possibly come across. We really do take our sponsors seriously, and with Blue Apron, we decided to give them a try and see what the service was all about, and signed up for the service. And I'm not sure if anyone out there, watching the video portion of the show can actually see this, but eventually that's gonna show up there. If if Blue Apron accepts the invitation to come on the show, I will be showing off a couple pictures that I made, actually ordering from the service and making the food that they sent, and so far really enjoyed the the service as a whole. Although I will admit, about 15 minutes into chopping up vegetables for my first dish, I was thinking, yeah, it'd be really nice if someone processed all the food, cut everything up, put it in some kind of singular container, and put it, maybe freeze it or or refrigerate it, just so I could just pop it in the oven or the microwave and heat it up. And then I was like, oh wait, they have that. It's called frozen meals, and it's actually pretty popular. But like the end result was definitely worth it. You get all that fresh food and all that fresh stuff, but you kind of got to get over the fact that you're making your own meals. Suck it up. So
it is. Well, they have like over 150 local farms and fisheries and ranchers.
Everything was individually packaged. Like you were talking about how the PlayStation 4 earlier, Nate, where it said it looked like a crime scene, with all the little baggies. That's how Blue Apron delivers to you. It's like here is 5 ounces of shallots. You know what to do with those. Like yeah.
Or as Gordon Ramsay would say, shallots.
Shallots. Yeah, no, but to wrap this up, hope we have invited them on the show. Hope they come on because I have been trying this service out. I still have one more thing to do, and it's like a lamb and beef. I can't even name the name. Like it's all fancy food, so it's not like it's gonna get delivered to you. And it's like, oh, and today you're having SpaghettiOs, but you're making it yourself. Like it's all fancy food.
They have all these different recipes that on the email. They have like the porchetta style sandwiches. They got chicken and fresh basil fettuccine, seared salmon and sauce, grabush. I can't even pronounce some of these things.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I don't know if it's a grievance I have or it's just how the service works, but you don't get really any choice in what you get because everything is again by family-owned farms and stuff like that. So you're gonna get what's in season. And if let's say this week I got like cod, I got chicken and ramen, and and then I got beef and lamb. Like if you don't want those things, not like you can swap it out for steak and steak. It is what it is.
Hey, quick question though. They come in plastic bags, right?
No, well, freeze wrap, but yeah, you know,
Freeze
essentially.
wrap? Have you've heard of the sous vide, right? The
Oh,
French
yes.
style cooking where they cook in bags.
Sure.
That's
I
become
have one,
very
yeah.
popular.
I
Very
have one.
popular.
Yeah.
But
We actually
I
had.
you had some?
Yeah, we've had some. They actually sent us a sous vide. Ben really got into it. It's one of the most delicious foods I've ever actually had. It was just wonderful.
Yeah, I
They
cook
do.
with sous
Yeah,
vide all the time.
Uncle Ben Rice has been in that for a while too. So,
Right.
but, this is very interesting. Not to give you unsolicited ad, fist pump here.
Oh, please do.
But we do a lot with appliances on Popzara, and we saw the metrics years ago where appliances are starting to become very popular for millennials, and part of that is because one generation removed from cooking. And Craig, and I don't know if you've seen this more than Ben has. Ben, you may have actually been a testament to this, but there was a movement to stop people from cooking, to get everything cooked for you. Hence the microwaves, ultravection ovens, where everything was reheated and fast food. There's a series of they did a study where about 25% of all new apartments didn't have any cooking appliances, no stoves or anything, just a hot plate. Because why would you cook anymore? Why would you need that? Why would you didn't need to churn your own butter anymore? You buy butter. But what they notice is that millennials are going back to cooking. And they've noticed if you go to Best Buy, Target, or anything, it's almost all there's whole sections for appliances now. And if you watch all the like Hulu, if you watch Hulu, Crackle, MTV, half the ads are appliance ads for like blenders.
Mm-hmm.
Blenders, Vitamix. There's so many brands I can't name them all to you right now.
Yeah, there's like juicers and sous vides and yeah.
All kinds of stuff. And what you're talking about with is it Blue Bonnet?
Blue Apron.
Blue Apron.
Blue Bonnet. Yeah, Blue Bonnet's the margarine. Sorry, Blue Apron. There's more than just that. There's tons of these things because people are learning the joys of cooking again, and mostly it's because it saves a lot of money.
Yes.
Overall, it saves you tons of money.
Yes, it
like
does.
$10 a meal. $10 a meal sounds like a lot when you realize the average meal at KFC is like 15.
Yeah.
McDonald's, you're not going to get anything of value at McDonald's for less than $12, and that's garbage food. So yeah, I'd say buy some appliances, order some food, learn to cook. You're going to burn it. It's not going to come out perfect, but you'll get better. And pretty soon, Blue Apron will probably have a new concierge service where they'll have someone come to your house and cook it for you. Called maids.
Well, yeah. But like one thing that and again, hopefully Blue Apron goes on so we can really talk about this. But just one last thing was that with a service like Blue Apron, I'm using ingredients that I don't normally do. Like I've never cooked with cod before, but I made seared cod, and I liked it. And then I was making the ramen, and they added some seasoning called like and if this is a bad word in Japanese, I apologize.
It's okay.
I think it's like fukaki or fukiyaki or something like that. It's like a seasoning packet that they kind of gave you that I've never tried before, but it kind of gave it that I've had traditional ramen. That was a seasoning packet that you make traditional ramen with, and of course I made all my own vegetables, shredded my own chicken, made the real ramen noodles, did all that kind of stuff. And it was the best bowl of ramen I've ever had. Like it does not compare with the 25-cent package of.
You mean salt bricks?
Right.
That is not ramen.
But the service is kind of introducing me to things that I've never cooked with before, just because they.
There was a game on the Nintendo DS 10 years ago called America's Cooking, or Let's Get Cooking, and I think they eventually became America's Test Kitchen. And basically it's not even a game. You talk to your DS. You put the DS on your counter. This is 10 years ago, before the iPhone.
I remember this,
Yeah, and you could actually talk to it, and you could say, okay, let's do this. It would tell you how to puree, tell you how to do this. You could cook whole meals by talking to your Nintendo console, and I thought that was the great. I went into fits over that. I thought that was the greatest innovation I'd ever seen, and the fact that we don't have more stuff like that, is fascinating to me. I think there's so much more we could be doing. And by the way, thank you for mentioning cod. Because I just picked up a 5-pound bag of cod at Walmart for like $6. So it's all frozen. It hasn't been fresh in a long time, but it's cheap.
Maybe you check into Blue Apron because you just get.
I might. I actually cook all the time, but I've been getting to. I let's just say I cook on the cheap because I save money, and I'm just getting sick of tilapia. I love tilapia, but tilapia every day is joyless.
If you do go there, go to blueapron.com/computer. So
yeah.
Right.
And you know, and that's what I did. You know, of course I used our own promo code, and you know, for it comes out to like $5 a meal. You know, and you don't. It's not like, you know, $5 a meal and you go, oh, hamburgers and hot dogs. It is what it is. No, you're getting stuff that's like, okay, yeah, I can see a white girl posting that to Instagram. You know, that's pretty
A
impressive.
white girl posting to Instagram? No way.
Yeah,
I've never seen that ever in the last 10 seconds.
the food comes out pretty nice. So,
But
yeah.
but one last thing about that, to get off the subject, is that what's cool is that you acknowledge that you would have gotten things you would have never picked on your own.
Right.
And that's very important because we're all intellectually lazy sometimes, and if you just chose what you know, it'll be burgers and fries every night.
Yeah.
And this way you get different things.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice way to explore new culinary tastes.
So,
all right, so what is this with Gawker Media? Was saved, but Gawker.com is over.
Gawker is shutting down.
Oh.
Yep, the sleaziest, trashiest, dirtiest, filthiest, nastiest, most awesome website is shutting down.
You know, it's weird. Like I didn't hear. Well, you know, obviously Gawker was Gawker. They, you know, made headlines just because that was their job, was to make headlines. But like after like the court case happened, you know, I started hearing more and more stories about how seedy Gawker was, and it was like, but like the gentleman who's on trial right now, who could potentially go to jail or is at least facing multi-million-dollar worth of worth of fees. You know, what an unlikable character. Like, someone could not have written a worse, you know, defendant.
Yeah, it's pretty... Well, here's the thing. The argument has transmogrified from Gawker being a sleazy tabloid thing, which, like I said, there's no shortage of sleazy tabloids, especially in Britain, right? But the fact is that what Gawker did, though, people have tried to make this out, because Nick Denton, the founder of Gawker, who's worth a lot of money, by the way, he... now, when we talk about Gawker, let's separate Gawker from the Gawker sites, you know, from the IO9 and the Gizmodos and the Kotakus and all that stuff. I mean, they're sleazy in their own ways, but they're not as sleazy as Gawker was. Gawker was personal. It was vile. It was anti-humanity, and it pushed like a New York City style agenda that was reprehensible to everyone, which of course made it a lot of fun to read. I'm not going to lie to you, but it was not good for humanity's soul. I'll just say that. And the argument really started after Gawker was found guilty by a court of releasing Hulk Hogan's sex tape. And Gawker, like you mentioned, the litigants tried to make a point that they could release it because it was newsworthy. But I think they found the most reprehensible human being on planet Earth to testify.
Right.
Where there was that conversation about sex tapes with children, and it was so horrific that I don't want to repeat it. But naturally, they lost, and they should have lost, because what they did, they violated Hulk Hogan, you know, brother. They violated his rights, and then it came out that there was a tech billionaire, Peter Thiel, who had headed in for Gawker because Gawker outed him as being gay. By the way, that was another thing Gawker did. It loved to, on one hand, espouse gay rights and civility, but on the other hand, it would viciously out people that were in the closet.
Right.
So I mean, that's what happens when you have no moral compass. It just spins. But anyway, Peter Thiel, it turns out Peter Thiel is a Republican, and he spoke at the Republican National Convention. He was a very popular speaker. But this guy helped fund PayPal, and I know he's part of all these other venture capital. He's very successful, very, very big guy. And the argument became about journalism, that a billionaire can shut down the free speech. No, because he helped fund Hulk Hogan's legal defense. But that's not it. You know, Gawker did wrong. They messed up. They continuously violated people's civil rights, and when you run your business like that, you know, you're going to go out of business. And I can't make a defense for Gawker on journalism because what they did wasn't journalism. So I cannot protect. On one hand, I don't want to see Gawker go away because of politics. I don't. As reprehensible as they are, I'm glad they're around, because at least we know where they are. But I can't defend them on journalism because what they did wasn't journalism. It wasn't important. It wasn't newsworthy. It was none of their business. They violated someone's civil rights. And it doesn't matter who funded them, and it doesn't matter why they funded them. All that matters is that what Gawker did was wrong, and nothing changes that. And so Gawker is going away. They were purchased by Univision, but anybody who thought that Gawker was going to stick around doing the same nasty stuff they did before was crazy. So Gawker itself, Gawker.com, the sleazy tabloid rag, is going away. And good riddance. They added nothing to humanity as far as I'm concerned. And there's other sleazy rags. You know, it's like shutting down BitTorrent sites. I mean, there's always more. But Gawker in particular was really nasty. It was really hate-filled, hate speech, you know, anti everything you can imagine. It had no real, I don't know, humanitarian soul.
They were good at doing the wrong thing. You know,
very good at it.
Like when I say their job was to make headlines, like there was not a day that I have never purposely or even accidentally, thankfully, gone to Gawker.com. But you know, when they were still, you know, publishing things, I would say there wasn't a week. I don't want to say day because that might be a little bit extreme, but there was probably not a week I wasn't redirected from Facebook by one of my friends or from social media or just, you know, somewhere didn't link back to a Gawker website. I mean, that was their job, was to get clicks, and they were darn good.
They were very good at it. And but again, that's, you know, when you have no moral compass, and not that I'm saying that any news media outlet should make those decisions. They say, I don't want to hurt somebody's opinion. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I'm not into censorship. It's not about not showing, you know, crime scene photos or whatever. When you go out of your way, like they would have these things where they would tell their readers to go stalk celebrities, you know, to follow them and take pictures. You know, they would solicit stolen information, like Gizmodo, one of their sister sites, you know, paid for a stolen iPhone, you know, which got them banned from Apple events.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but that's different. I don't care. That's an iPhone. I mean, they would actually, like, remember Trayvon Martin, that whole rigmarole? Yeah. They posted a photo of Trayvon Martin's dead body, and they told people to get angry, basically go out and riot. You know, it's one thing to say you're angry because you're sitting in your New York's, you know, loft drinking tea, thinking that you're above everyone else. It's another thing to use your power, because people in the media don't understand how much power they really have. And you get people angry, and the result is race riots and racial hatred and homophobia that didn't exist before, and misogyny that didn't exist. And as someone who's on the forefront of this nonsense, like creating antipathy, creating hatred, creating things out of whole cloth that did not exist, that's awful. And frankly, the world could do without you. And so frankly, Gawker, you got what's coming to you. You're a nasty, vile website, and you knew it, and you were proud of it, but eventually it all comes around. And it's not about journalism. It's not about censorship. You did horrible things, and you're being held accountable for it. And I am sorry for the good writers over there. There are good writers at Gawker, but you knew what you were getting into too. So I don't feel sorry for you either. So hopefully you land on your feet, but good riddance.
So
they're gone. But I think the court awarded, and I don't really recall word for word, but I think Hulk Hogan pretty much owns Gawker now.
He's getting a lot of money. Well, he might not get anything. Like, you know, they're going into bankruptcy and everything. I mean,
right.
He really Hogan was wronged, right?
Yeah.
Like to fight him, Gawker would release release transcripts of him, you know, using derogatory words like the N-word and all this, you know, to try to smirch him. Like Gawker was not a nice place. They were a horrible place, and they went down fighting. But if Hulk Hogan gets anything, that's cool. I mean, I don't care if he gets a penny, to be honest with you. But I mean, his career was destroyed too, by the way. Gawker helped destroy his career because of some things he said in a deposition. He said, you know, he would use language that wasn't appropriate for a celebrity, so to speak, in a private. And Gawker, of course, leaked that stuff to try to defame him, and it worked. He was fired. He was let go from the WWE. He was taken off the. You know, his career was destroyed because the worst thing you can do in today's world, Ben, the absolute worst thing you could do, is call someone a name. You know, and if you use a certain N word or a certain F word or a certain R word, then it's the end of the world, because, you know, people can't possibly process that. I'm not saying it's appropriate to use that all the time, but there are worse things in this world, people, than language. And, you know, it pains me to see, you know, people's.
Well, that was lesson 1 in kindergarten. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words.
No, that was lesson 1 when we were kids. Nowadays, it's sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will kill you. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you offended my sense of, like, you know what? You know what you need to advertise? Get fainting couches. They used to have them back in the Victoria era, where women would they'd faint. You know, like you see that all the time in old movies, where somebody says, "Oh my goodness, there's a pig outside," and they always show the woman fainting. Like, that's what these kids do now. Oh my God, he said a word I didn't agree with. I'm gonna faint. But instead of feigning, you go on Twitter and express outrage.
Yeah.
So I just
I will say that luckily, to be fair to the opposite side of the spectrum, I think political correctness. There we go. Woo. Political correctness has come under fire lately, so I feel like it's swinging hard the other way too. So
here's the thing: it's called political correctness, right? And 99% of the people who practice it aren't running for anything, but everybody feels like they're on their own reality show, which they are thanks to Facebook Live, But everybody feels like they're on TV, so they have to say the right things in the right way because it may come back and it may become politically disadvantageous for them. I say screw it. I say screw it. Stick to your guns and rise up and say what you want to say as long as you don't hurt anybody or negatively impact somebody. But again, Gawker, they may be going away, but they're not going away. I mean, what they've done is not going away anytime soon.
Well, they said Gawker Media was saved, but Gawker.com is
yeah, because Gawker.com was the reason for the mess. Right. They were the like I like Kotaku, I like IO9, I like Gizmodo, I even like Deadspin. I do not like Gawker, and I really don't like Jezebel. I don't like some of these vile sites where the only thing they do is make people feel awful about themselves. Seriously, it's the only purpose is to make people feel terrible. And that's just, I don't know. It's not me. I can't defend. But you know what though? I will say this, Craig. But if that's what they want to do, that's fine. I will defend Gawker's right to be vile, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to draw a conclusion, a distinction. What they did to Hulk Hogan was not journalism. What they did to Hulk Hogan was assaulting and infringing on his rights. So if they want to do the vile stuff, that's cool. But as soon as they cross the line into what they did, then they need to be held accountable. And after a certain point, they get held accountable and they go away. That's just how it works. The system works. It's not censorship. They messed up. If they didn't mess up, they'd still be around.
Yeah.
But they did.
But and it's fair to Gawker Media. I mean, they were, Gawker.com. That's one thing, but their media holdings. I mean, I've been to a number of their websites. Gizmodo, go to sometimes Kotaku all the time. I mean, they have a Jalopnik, that too. Yes. Like, they have a lot of big ones. I didn't think that the whole media group was going to go down, but, just Gawker.com, oh yeah.
It's kind of like what happened when AOL purchased, Huffington Post and AOL went together. Remember AOL had all these blogs like Joystick and Engadget and all this?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them got absorbed and a lot of them went away. And that's what's going to happen with Gawker. You're probably going to see some more consolidation and you're going to see, some of these sites land on their feet, but it's not going to be the same anymore. It's just not. And so, for better or for worse, I wish the good people over there the best of luck. And if they were really good journalists, then they'll survive. But the bad parasites and the vile interlopers, sorry,
right.
I don't have any sympathy for you. You know what you did. So, it's like if a doctor operates on your heart and he drops his cell phone, he says, I'll just leave it in there. And if he scratches his butt and puts his hand back in your thing and blows snot and does drugs, I don't want him having a second chance. Okay, I want him gone. We should be rewarding the people that do good work and not sticking up for the people who do openly bad work. And Gawker was openly bad. And so I'm not going to lose any sleep over this.
No. So tell us what's coming up next with Popzara. We got about a minute and a half.
A whole minute. Well, we have a site revision coming up, podcast revision coming up, new people coming on board, saying goodbye to some old people, new goodies. And I will say one thing, it's kind of funny. We interviewed a guy last week who created the cartoon Happy Bunny. And I was fascinated to learn that he still uses AOL. And I said to him after the program, I said, you know what? I know another guy who still uses AOL. He forces me to use AOL Instant Messenger whenever I'm on his program. So apparently there's a whole group of you AOL junkies out there that just won't let it go.
Are you talking about Jim Benton, by the way?
Jim Benton, yeah. Okay. He's on the site right now. He's a fun guy. And we talked about his new comic book called Man, I Hate Cursive. But yeah, we had a shared story about AOL. I said, why don't you just change it? He's like, I have Gmail. I have all this. So why do you keep AOL? He's like, because it's on all the T-shirts. So he's stuck with AOL. So Jim, if you're listening to this, yeah, Craig Crossman, he's the guy I was talking about. He loves Instant Messenger.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did make you that cool graphic for that, by the way.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That's a website you can go to. I don't know if you want to say anything about it.
Yeah. No, we don't have time. But otherwise, we'll save it for next time. Although Stranger Things will probably be, at the old news at this point. But listen, again, thank you so much, Nathan, for being with us here. It's always a pleasure, and I guess we'll catch you next month.
Yes, and hopefully on the right day. I apologize. Thank you for switching things around. Like I said, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will say thank you too.
So we'll see you on September 30th, which is like 4 days after my birthday. We'll see you then. That's the last.
Premature happy birthday.
Yeah.
90 seconds.
Stay with us to the end. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have LC Technologies. They've actually been on the show before. David Zimmerman is the CEO. He's going to be talking about some of the top causes that would cause damage to electrically fry your computer. Okay.
Not limited to petting your cat and then immediately going to touch your motherboard.
No.
Or letting electric eels into your water cooling
60
system.
seconds.
Yeah. Anyway, you're going to be talking about that in the first hour. And then the second hour, we'll be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Hey, listen, thanks to all of you for being here with us. It's a lot of fun, and we have a fun week planned. Don't forget to head over to computeramerica.com and get your entry in now for that Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse, valued at $40. So Ben and I will see you here, same time, same place, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Nate.
I'm here. Bye.
Bye.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching our behind-the-scenes live Google Hangouts video streaming, and hopefully we'll figure out some way to replace it. It may be on YouTube, but whatever, it'll certainly be up on our website. We'll give you plenty of notice when we finally figure out what it is that we're doing. Nate, thanks again for being here with us. And
yes.
All right. And
by the way, Ben, for you,
yeah.
Ben, before I go, I just saw this story. I thought of you, so I'll tell you this so you can see it. There's a story floating around there how U2 lobbied Congress and lobbied the Clinton Foundation to be able to use the International Space Station for concerts.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I love U2, but that's just crazy. That's just fun.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next month.